Well, hello there, everybody. It is 3 o'clock, 3:01, right on the dot. And I am so glad to see you here again. I wanted to welcome you to Abundant Wellness. Thank you for joining me on my podcast today. It's always nice to do it live and see you live, but in the event that you don't get to it, don't worry. It is recorded and you have the opportunity to go back and listen to it or even listen to it again and again. I mean, some things that I learn, I have to hear it more than once anyway. But anyway, thank you for being here and welcome. So I'm going to go ahead and start my screen so we can dive right into this. All right, you should be seeing my screen right now. I'm going to check it. And yes, I am live. All right. Maybe I'll wait just maybe about 10 more seconds for those that are trying to find me and wanting to join me right now. All right. Just trying to find my files right now. Welcome to the Abundant Wellness Podcast. The Abundant Wellness Podcast meets every second and fourth Saturday of the month, Central Standard Time. At 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, that is. My name is Joanne McDermott. I am a board certified functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner, and I am a mental health coach. And I just want you to know, just before you go and start listening to all that I have to say here, the information provided is intended to promote overall well-being and is not a substitute for personalized professional care. So if you're seeing a doctor, you're seeing a therapist, you want to continue seeing them. Hopefully you have found one that you feel comfortable with and you work with, but nevertheless, you want to be working with someone. And what I tell you is to supplement. I do believe you should be a part of your health care and not just somebody telling you what to do all the time, because who knows you better than you? Nobody but you. Viewers are encouraged to be empowered by learning how the body functions, allowing them to take an active role in their own health goals and decisions. Yes, you should be a part of what you want to do. I like to be able to teach so that you just know, so that you're better informed and can make better choices, and based on what your options are. And you should be given options, right? It shouldn't just be black or white, do this or that or nothing at all. So I hope that this is very helpful to you, but I am not here to replace any professional that you are seeing. So today we are going to continue with our theme on exercise. We're doing part 2. You could always go back and review part 1. And the month of March, we're talking about exercise because the weather is starting to get a little bit warmer now. Maybe some of that snow is melting. For us in the south, it's been getting warmer actually, but it's not so excruciating heat that we can't go outside yet. So March is just a really especially good month for doing exercises, right? So let's get right into it. Well, the last time we met a couple of weeks ago, I talked about the benefits of exercise. Today I'm going to be talking about the different types of exercises we can do. Do you remember what the benefits of exercises are? Well, they make our bones nice and strong. They build our muscles, not only making our muscles strong, but making our muscles even bigger so that we're more toned, or those of us that want to be a little bit more muscular. Exercising helps to do that. Exercising also helps us to be better balanced. When we get older, we tend to fall more easily. But having that exercise routine in your life helps to reduce that from happening. It also gives us improved agility, so we're able to just move around more easily. We can go from a bending down to get up position. You ever in a situation where you dropped your glasses or you drop your money and you just feel like, oh man, it's going to take me like a good minute and a half to just go bend down and get what I want. We're just kind of lacking that agility. We want it, but I mean, who wants that? I know I don't want that. We want to be able to just not worry about dropping something and be able to just bend right down, pick it up, and get right back up. So, exercise will help us to do that. Exercise also helps us to breathe deeper because as we are working and working hard, our muscles are going to require more oxygen, which is going to cause us to be breathing faster and even deeper. And that helps to increase our lung capacity. Not to mention too, it helps to improve our, the flow of our lymphatic fluid, and it helps for better circulation, which means that all those nutrients and the vitamins and minerals and oxygen and everything that needs to get to the cells get to that cells because we have better circulation. Exercise also helps to improve our gut motility. What do I mean by gut motility? That is the movement of whether it's the food or your stools that is moving through your digestive tract, but particularly in the intestines, the small intestines and the large intestines. Sometimes the food or the stool that's there is just not moving along and our digestion seems to be slow, or we are ending up with a lot of constipation. Things just aren't moving along the way they're supposed to. Well, by doing exercises, it helps to improve your gut motility. It helps things to move along better, nicer, smoother in a more timely fashion because all of that within the gut, it has muscles in there, and it's the muscle that's contracting and releasing, contracting, that is causing the movement, of what's inside there. So you're going to build muscle by exercising that muscle, and that's why gut motility is improved when you do exercise. And also, exercise helps to release endorphins. Do you remember what endorphins are? Endorphins is like a natural pain reliever. And so it can help to relieve, any aches and pains, that we have. Interestingly enough, I know when you're feeling pain, you don't feel like moving, but I have experienced this. Once I started moving, then it wasn't hurting me as much, wherever those aches and pains may have been. And I'm not afraid, or I'm not as hesitant to move, to get up, to walk, to run. But endorphins also kind of gives us that natural high. You ever feel just really good? The sense of, wow, I just feel great after you leave the gym, after an exercise routine. And finally, exercise also helps to keep us from aging. It slows down our aging. It can even reduce our aging. Do you remember that I was talking about something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor? That is something that is released and produced directly as a result of exercising. And this BDNF, it is like fertilizer for our neurons. It causes neurogenesis, which is just the production of neurons or brain cells, and it also helps to improve our plasticity so that when we're learning new information, we're able to learn that new information, we're able to grasp that new concept and it now become a part of, our thought process. So just a quick little review there on the benefits of exercise. Let's now talk about the different exercises that we can do. So there is walking. Walking, that's one of my favorite exercises only because it's just very easy. Nice to be able to do it outside when you get a chance. I know some of us just go on the treadmill. Sometimes we don't have a choice and we have to be inside. It's just too cold outside, or there's a lot of snow, or it could be too hot. But when you get a chance, go outside because it allows you to get exposed to the fresh air, which is important that we are breathing in good fresh air. And it also allows you to get exposed to the sun where you are able to get your vitamin D. So many of us, too many of us, are way too depleted in our vitamin D. But anyway, walking, it's easy. You can go as slow as you want. You can make it a little more brisk if you want, but it's a type of exercise that just does not exert a lot of pressure or energy on you. But at the same time, it's still good because you are moving. You know, lately they don't call it exercise, they call it just movement. So this is just an easy form of movement that you can do. And then you have jogging or running. Running, a faster movement, jogging, a type of running, but a slower run. This certainly is going to increase your heart rate, so cause you to breathe deep, improve your lung capacity. The only thing about jogging or running, which maybe some of you may not like it as much because it kind of takes a toll on your knees and on your ankles, because every time when you run, you are kind of like going, or jogging, you're kind of causing your body to go up a little bit and then it comes down. It comes I'm just going to call it kind of crashing down. So you're it's almost like jumping. You know, you go up and then you come down against the hard concrete. And when you land like that, it can really cause a certain amount of pressure on your knees or even on your ankles. And some of you may not be able to handle that or manage that. So, and that is okay. For those of you that like the jogging or the running, you know, you're able to really build up your heart rate quickly and exert a lot of energy. You know, that's good. That can be more of a high intensity type of exercise, which I'll talk about that a little bit later. But if not, you got bad knees, maybe even bad hips, walking will be just fine. Another type of exercise that's really good is swimming, or any kind of activity where you are inside the water. There's a variety of exercises you can do in the water. Now, maybe there's some of you that don't know how to swim or don't feel like you have enough strength or stamina to be able to do the swimming. But what you can do is you can go into an area of the water that is, you know, fairly shallow. You can go into, you know, waist deep or maybe shoulder deep, but your head is still up, even though your feet is touching, you know, the surface below you. And you can do simple exercises like lifting your arm up to the side and then having your arms go in front of you and then back to the side of you. So you just kind of go back and forth, you know, with your arms like that. And you can even lift up your leg and put it down. What's nice about the water is because the volume of water is so much greater than the weight of your body. You're actually lighter in the water, so it's actually easier for you to put your hand up or put your foot up because you kind of float. So if you are having a hard time moving, it's hard for you to move, it would be easier to do small movements inside the water now. But here's where the challenge comes. If you had to move your arm or your leg quickly in that water, it's going to be more of a challenge because there's a certain amount of pressure that's there that is going to stop your hand or your leg from being able to move more quickly, you know, as opposed to if you were just moving it in the air. So it kind of works both ways. It helps you to move more easily, but at the same time, it's giving you enough of a resistance, or you can work at it so that it gives you enough of a resistance so that you are engaging your muscles and even able to work up, you know, your increased heart rate and a really good deep breathing there. Now, some of you may be very good swimmers and may decide, you know what, I'm just going to go and swim some laps. And that's very good too. That's a very, very good cardiovascular, definitely going to increase your heart rate. That would be considered more of a high intensity, which again, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. And uh, so it's a very good exercise that you can do it as a high intensity or you can do it as a low intensity, but it's a very, very versatile type of exercise. And then you have gardening. Now, gardening is more of a informal. I call it informal type of exercise. So, not you may not have necessarily be thinking intentionally of doing exercise, but you know that, oh, I need to work on the yard, I need to do some gardening, and that incorporates you using many muscles inside your body, repetitive movements. It can involve some raking. Looks like this guy might be doing a little bit of weeding, but you can also be doing a lot of like squats because you have to bend down to reach where the plants are, whether you're harvesting or you're weeding, and then you got to get back up again to, all right, all that weed that you just plucked out, you want to be able to put it in a bag or bring it over to your compost, come back over to where you were weeding again, and you're bending down. So you're doing a lot of standing up, bending down, standing up, bending down. And if you were in an exercise class, that would be a squatting routine or a squatting exercise. So maybe for those of you that want your exercise routine to be informal, you don't even want to be thinking about exercise, or you want it to be like it doesn't feel like you're exercising, then maybe gardening is for you. And some people find it very relaxing and very therapeutic because it's just making something pretty. Maybe for those of us that are a little bit more artistic. And there is a certain amount of satisfaction that is experienced when you are seeing the results of work or hard work that you put in. So it can be quite satisfying. So that is a very good exercise routine to do as well. Then there is just going to a class, going to an aerobics class, going to the gym and being around other people and being in front of an instructor. Because, let's face it, there is a lot of us out here that just doesn't like to exercise. We don't like to exercise. Oh, the thought of going to exercise is just so unpleasant. And in that case, going to a class where there is a group of other people with you that is also exercising along with you, maybe they're even cheering you on. And you know how sometimes when you're just with a group of people, it just makes the activity funner and more interesting. And that in itself can encourage you to, oh, okay, I'll try anyway. It's kind of like we're all in this together. Some of us are just very socially motivated, but I would say all of us, we are social human beings. And, there's just something about being around other people. But there's also something about having somebody tell you what to do. I mean, think about it. If you had to tell yourself to do it, it would be easy to not listen to you. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to lie down here for another 10 minutes. I'm not going to get up back yet. But then on the other hand, if you had mom knocking on your door and saying, hey, listen, you need to get up now, otherwise you're going to be late for school. Or you have a teacher telling you, listen, this assignment is going to due by the end of the week. And if you don't, then you're going to get a failing grade. Somehow just having somebody else tell us to do what we need to do other than ourselves puts that fire underneath us and gets us doing what we need to do. So some of you may just have to end up joining a class, and that is what it's going to take to get you to get your exercise in. There is also the rebounder. Rebounder, also known as a mini trampoline or a single person trampoline. This is a very, very good activity, very good device to use. It's very versatile. You can get in a lot of exercise movements in here. Now, some of these rebounders come with a handle, like you see the one that is on the picture there in front of you. It has a little handle there so that when you're jumping, let's say you don't have very good balance, there is something for you to hold on to so that you can still partake in this activity. You could still jump and not feel like you're going to fall off and twist your ankle and hurt yourself. This lady is jumping rather high. You don't have to jump that high. So with the rebounder, you're really just doing a lot of jumping. It can almost be like jogging or running. In fact, you can just stand right on the trampoline and you can do a little mini jog. And or you can have both your feet together and you can just jump. So remember I was saying how jogging, running, it's kind of like causing your body to kind of go up into the air and then come back down. But then when you come back down, you hit the hard concrete, and that can be a certain amount of pressure on your knees and on your ankles. But when you're on the rebounder and you go up and you come back down, because it's a cushion, because it's like a okay, I forgot the word, like I forgot the word, I'm sorry, but it's okay, when you come back down, you don't land on the hard concrete. You're not landing down on a hard concrete, but it's like a cushion. It kind of gives way. And I can't remember the word, like what we have on our car. It'll come back to me in a minute. But anyway, so it gives way a little bit, so you don't come slamming down hard. And it is so as a result, you're not going to feel this pressure or the same level of pressure on your ankles or on your knees. So that's what makes the rebounder very good. You can do jumping jacks, you can do a very mild jog. There's lots of activity, and what's nice about the rebounder again is that it is causing you to, that jumping in and of itself is allowing the lymph and your lymphatic system to circulate. So there was a couple of episodes back where I talk about the immune system. Part of our immune system is the lymphatic system, and that lymphatic system, it's just another circulatory system. Like we have our blood that circulates through our veins. Well, then there's our lymph and our lymph vessels, and it's a lymph fluid that circulates all throughout the body. Now, what is in that fluid, and what is the purpose of that? It's picking up and it's transporting and it's getting rid of all the dead cells, any cells that have been killed because it was a harmful substance that entered into our body. So it was killed, or sometimes there are dead tissues that had to be replaced with new, cells because there was some kind of damage to that organ, to that part of the body. And so all of these dead cells kind of end up along the lymph fluid, and then that lymph flows and eventually is taking all those dead cells and all the debris and everything that needs to come out that the immune system has collected. It's taking it all out so that it's not sitting and staying there inside your body. It's just the cleaning and rinsing your body out there. And we want that lymph fluid to be moving along. Now, your blood moves along because your heart is constantly pumping, and that pumping moves the blood along. Now, the lymph system is not connected to any kind of pump. So how is it going to move around? It moves around because we're moving, and one of the ways that really gets it moving along is jumping, specifically jumping. It's also moved along by massage. I don't know if you've ever heard of a lymphatic drain massage, but we definitely want to have it moving along. So a couple of benefits there to rebounding. It's an easier way to exercise. You can do it inside or you can do it outside, and it's very effective. You can do it low intensity, high intensity to get your heart rate beating, whatever works for you. And it's kind of fun too. And you can do it carefully so that you do not hurt yourself. I think the word that I was thinking is like suspension. All right. Now, some of you can't walk. You can't get up. But you know what? You can still do exercise. they have come up with a routine where you can do your exercises right inside, right on a chair. You could be sitting in your chair and doing your exercises. And you would be surprised. You can get yourself a very, very good workout where you're actually breaking a sweat, and definitely your heart rate is increased just by doing a routine in your chair. You can do upper body where you're doing all kinds of things with your arms up, down, to the side, to the back. You can twist your torso. You could also be doing exercises with your legs. You can lift your whole leg up, or you can bend your leg at your knee, and then you could be lifting your knee up and then your chest, down towards your knee, and you're just doing that several times. It's like doing a crunch. It's kind of like doing sit-ups, but you're doing it in a chair, and you'd be surprised. You do that a few times, and you are going to feel your abdominal muscles getting pretty tired. So there is a routine. There is some kind of routine there for all of us, and there is no excuse for not doing any kind of exercise. Now, obviously, some of us are going to be able to do the more involved exercises. Some of us have to do a very low key, low intensity type of exercise. But you know what? As I said earlier, sometimes they just call it movement instead of exercise. You just want to be moving. You just want to be moving. And, I was explaining about the rebounder. Well, it is good for you to get some kind of a little mini exercise routine even throughout your workday, especially if you have a job where it's very sedentary. You're sitting all the time or most of the time. You want to get your body moving a little bit, and sometimes maybe after every hour you just do 5 minutes of seated chair exercise. Or I have told people to bring a rebounder and see if you can bring it into work sometime somewhere, and then just jump on that rebounder for about a minute. I've also recommended to people to, after they eat their lunch, now you definitely get to leave, hopefully anyway, you get to leave your workspace so that you can go and get something to eat. And I always recommend that after you finish your meal, to go for a little walk and go outside, get the fresh air, get the sunshine, and walk around the building or walk around the block at least one time, maybe 5 minutes. And that movement is going to help you in so many ways. It's going to help you get that exercise in, going to get you the vitamin D, and it just gives you a break. I think it will also just help to stimulate your mind and your brain, because you are allowing it to get more oxygen, and you're also just giving it a little break. So no excuse. Everybody should be able to be doing some kind of movement. Now, I want to explain to you a little bit about cellular respiration. So this is what's happening in our cells that give us energy to do what we're doing, and certainly gives us energy to be able to do the exercises or carry out the exercises that we're doing. So cellular respiration is basically the process by which cells break down sugar and turn it into energy. So ultimately, everything that we do, any of those exercises that I just mentioned to you there, as well as even listening to me or talking or reading a book, and you're using your brain to try to figure out, what does this mean? How do I interpret this? All of that engages energy. And the way in which that happens is your body takes in oxygen and it takes in glucose. Those two come together and then it creates energy. So that was really the easy version that I have given you. And there's some notes there about carbon dioxide and water. That's kind of the byproduct. But most important thing I want you to understand is your body takes in the oxygen and the glucose, combines it and turns it into energy. And that is what gives you the ability to do that running, that walking, that swimming, any kind of movements that you do, as well as thinking. So, just to explain that a little bit further, now where do we get this energy from? It all boils down to the food that we eat. Every food that we eat has a certain amount of carbohydrate in it. Some have a little bit of carbohydrate in it, some have a lot. So, something like a slice of bread or any kind of grain that has a lot of carbohydrate in it. But regardless, anyway, there's carbohydrates in every food. Now, that carbohydrate, it breaks down into smaller components called glucose, or it's a type of sugar. So remember, your body takes that sugar, combines it with the oxygen, and then we produce that energy that gives us the strength to do those push-ups, those pull-ups, those jumps, whatever it is. Now, there are two types of exercises. There is the anaerobic and there is the aerobic. Which is better, for your exercise, which is better for maybe losing weight? Well, let me just take a moment to explain, what the anaerobic exercise is. Now, both exercises are very good. It's just two different types of exercises. Your anaerobic exercise is the exercise that uses no oxygen. So this is kind of weird because I told you you need to combine the oxygen in addition to the glucose in order to make the energy. But there are times when you are making energy and you're not using any oxygen at all. And that's that anaerobic. That means like without oxygen. So how is this possible? Well, what happens is your body ends up using, the glucose inside your muscles, and as opposed to the glucose that you just ate. So it's really, really just trying real hard to find some energy from somewhere. There's some sugar here in the muscle. Let me go grab some of that. And then as a result of that breakdown of the sugar in your muscle, your body creates this lactic acid, and it is able to produce this energy. Now the times when that happens, I would say most of the time your body does use energy. I'm sorry, most of the time it does use oxygen. But the times when it's not using oxygen is when you need a quick burst of energy. So for example, let's say that you are going for a walk, a nice easy stroll in your neighborhood because you just heard me say, hey, go for a walk after you eat your lunch during the workday because you've been sitting down for the last several hours. So there you are going for a walk. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you hear a dog start barking. You turn around and you look and you see that dog is headed straight for you. And you are so scared, adrenaline gets released, I'm sure. You have to run as fast as you can. So your body is requiring a big burst of energy right there and then, because you can't just be doing this little jog. You have to run like you're running for your life. So there isn't an opportunity for your body to get that oxygen to mix with the glucose. It needs to just, oxygen, I can't wait for you. I need this burst of energy right now. And so it finds this glucose, inside your muscles, and it uses that, and then you are able to run faster than you ever thought you could. You didn't think you had the energy in you, but now you have it. And but sometimes we can do that in a form of exercising, and this is what I call the HIIT exercises. And HIIT stands for high intensity interval training. So you're doing intervals of high intensity. So an example of that would be, so high intensity is when you're doing that exercise where you're really, really, really pushing yourself as hard as you can, and you're doing that anywhere from 10 seconds to 2 minutes. So let's say that you are doing an exercise routine and you are going for a walk, and maybe this is a 20-minute or 15-minute activity, and so for the first 2 minutes you're just doing a normal stroll. At the end of 2 minutes, now you're going to run. You're going to run as fast as you can. And you're going to do that for about 10 seconds. So that is kind of your induced, a high burst of energy type of exercise called HIIT, high intensity interval training. And then what that does is it is getting that sugar from your muscle to break down and causing you to be able to burn some calories. So what's good about that type of exercise is you're able to burn a lot of calories, in a shorter period of time. But more than anything, the reason why that's good is because even after that 10 seconds of running as fast as you can is done, you're no longer running that fast anymore. Now you return back to a walk, a gentle walk. It's a relief to be able to stop. And even if you were to stop to sit down and catch your breath a little bit, do you know that your body is still burning calories, even though you're sitting down there and you're not doing anything anymore? Your body is still burning calories because as a result of just pushing yourself so intensely like that, your body temperature has really increased, right? Now you start sweating. So your body needs to go back to reducing that body temperature back to its normal temperature. So that in and of itself causes a release of energy there. And there might have been a little bit more repair, a little bit of tear and damage. Remember, I talked the last couple of weeks we were here, when we were here a couple of weeks ago, how we build muscle. There's a little bit of tear, micro tears, but then your body repairs that and then creates an even bigger muscle than what was there before. So there's some repairing that needs to happen. And if you're doing a quick burst of energy like that, there's going to be more repairing. That's going to take a certain amount of energy, to fix that. And then during those bouts of energy like that, bursts of energy like that, you create lactic acid. Now your body has to take that lactic acid and convert it back into what it was before, into sugar. That takes a certain amount of energy for that to happen. So that's why you run for 10 seconds as fast as you can, and then you stop and you rest and you take a break, but you're still burning calories. So it's a great exercise to do. You can end up burning calories without having to exercise over a long period of time. So people will do this HIIT exercise for maybe about 15-20 minutes a day, and they have done a lot. They have accomplished a lot. This type of exercise, your anaerobic exercises, this really helps you to strengthen your muscles. It's more of a strengthening exercise, so it makes your muscles stronger. Let's say that you're having a hard time doing squats because the muscles in your thighs aren't very strong. Well, by doing this type of HIIT exercises, it will help to build those muscles in your legs so you can do squats more easily, or it can build muscles in your arms so that you can lift things more easily. So that is your anaerobic exercises, not using any oxygen. So let's go over to the other side, the aerobic. Aerobic metabolism or aerobic exercises involves the use of oxygen. It's a more, I'm not going to say a slow, but a slower movement of exercise. It's not a big burst of, hey, this dog is chasing me and I need to run as fast as I can. It's doing that walk. It's doing the walk, but now instead of doing it for 10 seconds, you are doing it for 40 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe even 30 minutes. It's over an extended period of time. So now, because you're not moving as fast or needing to move as quickly, there is opportunity for your body to collect that oxygen to combine with your glucose to create the energy that you need to be able to continue walking. So this type of energy is more long-lived, it's more sustainable. This type of exercise helps to create endurance, and it tends to be more of those cardio exercises, the aerobics class where you're doing that deep breathing. And this exercise is also going to help you to lose weight, but this type of exercise, you have to be doing it over a longer period of time to really get that benefit because not only is it grabbing onto, there's time for it to grab on and collect the oxygen, but it's also tapping into your stored fat. So we have fat that is normally on our liver and on our muscles, and it's just kind of there for any time we need energy for anything at any time. And it's always supposed to be there. But sometimes when we eat too much carbohydrates, we ate 2 slices of bread instead of 1 slice of bread. All right, some of that sugar turns into fat and gets stored on our liver, in our muscles, but there's still more. There's still more in our bloodstream, and it can't stay in our bloodstream. And so it no longer goes to the liver and the muscle because some already went there, so that space is filled up already. So now your body starts to look for places where it can get stored, and then it gets stored in the adipose tissue and your triglycerides. It's our triglycerides that we don't want to have very high. It's that adipose tissue where fat is stored. We don't want too much fat to be stored there because that is when we get fat. That is when we gain weight. So that is why doing those walking over a period of time is helping to tap into those, the excess storage places and using up that fat, burning it off so that we are losing our weight. So, that type of exercise is more for building endurance. It's also a very good exercise for losing weight. Again, the other side of that is if it's going to be more low key, less intense, low to moderate intensity, you're going to have to be doing it for a longer period of time. So, you're 30, 40, 50 minutes, an hour, as opposed to 15, 20 minutes of the anaerobic exercises. So, I would say it's good to just kind of combine the two. And you might want to do maybe one day of anaerobic and another day of aerobic. Sometimes people like to do both in the same day. So it all depends on what your preference is and what you have time for. So to just kind of give, again, some examples of your anaerobic as opposed to your aerobic. So again, the anaerobic, no oxygen is being used. You are using glucose to help to produce that energy along with fat, like from the fat storages. It tends to be a quick, because there's no time to grab the oxygen, so it's a quick movement. It's a quick release of energy, and it is a high intensity type of movement like sprinting. Your aerobic, it uses oxygen, so it combines the oxygen with the glucose. There's time to grab that oxygen, so there's it's usually the type of energy that is collected over an extended period of time, so you're able to continue that activity over a long period of time. If the dog was chasing after you and you were running fast, you could probably only do that for about a minute, not very long. But if you're walking now, you can walk over a long period of time. So it's a longer source of energy that is provided. It comes in the form of walking. It comes in the form of walking or gardening or doing some kind of yard work. So I want you to remember to be careful that you are not over exercising. As good as exercise is for us, it is possible for us to over exercise. And one of the months I do talk about temperance, and I define it as temperance is abstaining from the bad. So if it's bad for you, you just kind of do away with it altogether. But finding balance in that which is good. So just because something is good for us, that doesn't mean that we can do it indefinitely. There's a place and there's a time where we can be doing it too much, and you want to make sure that you are not over exercising. So this condition, there's a condition called metabolic overtraining syndrome. You can see on the picture there, that lady just does not look, she does not look good. She does not look fulfilled. She doesn't look like she's enjoying herself. Exercise is meant to make you stronger and healthier and filled with vitality. It's not supposed to make you miserable and just feeling weak and tired and feeling like, ah, I don't want to go to the gym again. So, let me tell you some pointers to help you to know whether you are exercising too much. Well, first of all, if you are feeling like I don't want to go to the gym ever again, you should not be feeling like that. It should be more of a before you start, oh, I don't feel like going to the gym. And then after you're done, oh, I'm glad I went. That's how you should be feeling, right? It shouldn't be a, oh man, I dread going to the, I don't want to go to the gym again tomorrow. Okay, so just tune in on how you're feeling there. If you feel like after you complete your workout, if you go home and you feel like I just need to take a nap, I just want to take a nap. Maybe you have actually put your head down and taking a nap. You should not feel like taking a nap after you have gone to the gym. Like just really, oh, I just need to lie down and just rest for a minute. You may be pushing yourself more than you are able to. And I mean, even if you feel like you haven't done that much or somebody has done a whole lot more than you, it really depends on your body and how much training you have had in the past and what your body is accustomed to. Now, even if you feel like you're doing a little bit, you can definitely work your way up to more. But that's the key there. You work your way up to it. So you don't want to be feeling like you need to take a nap. Okay, you're taking too long to recover. Now, when you're first newly going to the gym, you are going to be sore the next day. You are going to have some sore muscles. But that soreness should last 1, maybe 2 days. It should not be lasting more than 2 days. Maybe if you're just brand spanking new going to the gym, you haven't gone in years or you've never gone, okay, maybe it might last a little bit longer. But now, once you're in the routine, you go the next week, that soreness should not still be there, or at least not after 1 day. And if that soreness is still there, I mean, I can remember going to the gym and I'm feeling sore constantly. If there isn't a recovery time or a long enough recovering time where you're not feeling sore anymore, then you are pushing yourself too much. You have not allowed yourself enough of a recovery time, or whatever you're doing needs to be eased off a little bit because there isn't enough of a recovering time. You should not be feeling sore constantly. Like every time you get up, it's a struggle for you to get out of your chair because you're so sore all the time. Okay, again, maybe 1 day, but it should not be constant. Exercise is supposed to give you energy, vitality, strength. You're supposed to be strong. You're not supposed to be struggling to move or to get out of the chair. Sometimes people will actually gain weight instead of losing weight from exercising. That is another sign that you are over exercising. And the reason why that happens is because there is a certain amount of muscle damage that happens, as I had explained earlier and even in previous videos. There's a little bit of muscle damage that happens there, and any kind of damage that happens within our body, our body goes right into repair mode, and that's part of our immune system, our immunity, and it is constantly wanting to hurry up and make sure that, whatever got damaged, we need to make sure that it gets fixed. And so your body, when it goes into an immune response, all these cells are being secreted, and it's brought to the place where there's damage, and new cells are going there, and maybe nutrients and whatever it is that your body needs to help ensure that that area gets repaired. And because all of that stuff is going there, there's an increased blood volume there, because remember, the blood is what transports things from one part of the body to the next. That's why when we hit our elbow or hit our arm or we twist our ankle, that area, it becomes swollen, it becomes big because there's an increased blood volume. It's your body's effort to try to repair that area. So there's this increased blood volume that happens, and eventually that should stop, that should go back down, the healing should happen. The immune response is not as high as when it first started. It should tone down. Our immune response is not always, is never ever supposed to be ongoing. It's supposed to work, but it does what it's supposed to, and then it turns off. But if you are exercising so much and you're just getting all these tears and it didn't get a chance to repair, and so you use it again and it gets damaged again, and you're constantly in this immune response again and again and again, and you're going to have this increased blood volume in your body's effort to try to repair. It doesn't get to go down, so you're constantly having this increased blood volume, and maybe it gets increased even more because now you got more damage because it didn't even properly heal yet. That increased blood volume is going to cause your weight to be higher, right? Because now you got more blood flowing through there and more liquid flowing through there. So if you are gaining weight instead of losing weight, that could also be very much a sign of over exercising. And remember, you really just got to go by what your body can handle. Don't compare yourself with other people. Don't compare yourself with what you think is a lot or a little. You listen to your body and see what you're able to manage or handle. And again, I want to emphasize that you might feel like, I hardly did anything. But you know what? You don't need to worry about that, because if you stay consistent with your exercise, you will get stronger and you will be able to do more and eventually even more. You just have to have the patience with yourself. And it's all about getting healthy and happy, not weak and miserable. And finally, I want to remind you that after you have participated in an active workout, you want to make sure you take a shower. Why is that? Because you have sweated. And even if you haven't sweated a lot, I'm sure you sweated a little bit because you have exerted yourself. You have burned calories, therefore you have increased your body temperature. So there's going to be sweat there. And that sweat is one of the ways in which your body releases toxins. It releases waste. So you want to wash off and rinse off all of that waste that is on you. You do not want it to be reabsorbed back into you, because, that's just not going to give you optimal health there. We want to get rid of toxins and waste as much as possible. So by taking the shower, you are washing it off, you're rinsing it off. There is no opportunity for your body to reabsorb that. So remember to take your shower, even if it's just a quick shower, after every workout, immediately after every workout, or as close to after the workout as possible. Well, I want to thank you for joining me today on the Abundant Wellness Podcast. Again, we meet the second and fourth Saturday of the month at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you are looking at this on my YouTube, I want to suggest or remind you to remember to subscribe so you don't have to miss out on any of these little health nuggets that I share with you. And I'd like to invite any of you to visit my website, journeytoabundantwellness.com. If you are not as computer savvy, I would like to invite you to give me a call, text me. I do provide free consultations. So if you have a question or you're struggling with something, or if something that I have just mentioned here in this in this talk right now, you have a question about it, want to elaborate on it a little bit more, please feel free to give me a call or give me a text as well. So I want to thank you again for joining me, and we will see you again in April. Have a great rest of your day and have a great rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.